that approach into camp and practice now, knowing what you've got there?
Well, as a coach, as I said, it's really the first time we've had this. Some guys who have played, it's been in your program. I think am I right to say there's 4 guys who played lots of minutes last year? Started lots of games, even those 4 guys. And that's by far the, best we've had. Anytime you can get some continuity, you have some experience returning, it helps everything. So now, things will move quicker because I got some players who understand. So those guys, new guys who don't understand, at least they can see somebody leading by example and doing things the right way. We really haven't had that. We've had to kind of consistently teach a whole new team over every year. So I think it's a great advantage for us. And, I like those guys who are coming back too. And I think probably we spent more time in September than we've had in some other Septembers because of some experience we've had doing some more team stuff.
You said more time in September doing team stuff?
More team stuff we had in the past. So I think that's good too.
Rick, with the several transfers this offseason, were there any that kind of surprised you or you didn't expect?
Well, you call it all transfers, people who are not here no more?
Yes, so I know.
Well, some that you don't want back, some that, basically the one young man that, that we didn't want to leave was Tulu. And basically, he just didn't want to play behind Charles. There's no way to slice it. No way to hide it, no way to slice it. So I couldn't overcome that. Nothing I could say could change it. A decision he made, and so he's back. He's walking on in Mississippi State. So that's where that is.
With that, do you like where you're at the big man spot post, or are you still trying to is it still too late to add anybody there transferring in?
Well, naturally, if you're asking me this question, am I glad Charles is back? I am glad Charles is back. You had to choose between a guy leaving because of Charles and having Charles. What choice do you make? That's an easy decision. Would you like to have a little bit more depth? Maybe so, but I like where we're at. I think it puts a little bit finer line on injuries. Charles plays 35 minutes a game last year. We did bring a Matt back. Hopefully, he can give us some depth there. We'll see where Carson is. Is Carson able to back up some 5? Don't know. We'll see that. And we got a young guy, and Isaiah, I think, has probably been a little better than we anticipated. So there's some numbers back there that we can throw out to people. And again, hadn't been a lot of minutes at that spot. And again, I think the biggest thing is where it would affect you if you have a long-term injury. That's where it would affect you the most.
You mentioned Isaiah being better than.
Well, I think he's farther along than we anticipated. He's been able to come in and go to both summer school terms, June and July, and he's just gotten better. He's been a little better than we all anticipated. Now, naturally, he's got a ways to go, but he's a great kid, a great young man. He listens, he learns, and he's gotten better. And again, all young players, only time can cure some of their ailments, only experience. But again, he's a young man that comes to work every day, and he'll get better because of that.
Where have you seen Charles' game improve the most during the offseason?
Well, the biggest thing is this. There's no substitute for experience. And remember this time last year, he's a 17-year-old freshman. Should have been a high school player. He's 17 years old. And I've said this many times, because they put a star beside your name, that doesn't mean that's what you are. That's maybe what you can become. And only in time can you become that. So Charles had a really good year for us last year. Was there possessions he took off? Absolutely. But again, name another freshman in the country where they don't take off possessions. So you're saying things he needs to get better at, like all freshmen. You don't take possessions off. And again, only experience. There's no substitute for that. You know, I think he's probably leaned back down a little bit. I think he's I know he is. I think he's quicker than he was. I think that's a part of his game that we need to improve on. You got to continue to keep that athleticism and quickness up. So I think both of those areas, he's better than he was. But the biggest thing he's better at is experience. There's no substitute for that, even though he's 18 years old. I mean, he's still younger than most freshmen across the country. 18 right now.
I know his knee hurt some last year. His health, pretty good coming into the
Hadn't been any problem with the knee. So we'll start 2-a-days today, and like I say, everybody knows injuries is a part of it. We need to avoid those, key injuries to certain people. So, last year, if I remember correctly, I can't remember exactly when he hurt his knee, but he missed a lot of 2-a-day stuff last year now. He was in and out of a lot of different things. So he's been good in September, what we've had him in. He's gone hard, really hard.
What's the current timeline as far as eligibility for Eli and Kenny?
Just waiting on basically waivers. That time frame's out of our hands. So hopefully in the next month.
So Eli would be, if granted, he would be eligible, even though he sat out last year and still transferred. Is that how that works?
Don't know for sure, but maybe. You see young men getting all kind of waivers across the country for all kind of reasons. So there's kind of we'll have to wait and see on it.
If those two players do get granted those waivers, what have they kind of added to this team that maybe you didn't have last season?
Well, I'm anticipating that, Cooper having his. We'll practice that way and plan that way. I'm not going to plan on the backside. Cooper gives you some experience. He gives you experience, and he's a quality person. He's had some experience at that point guard play. I think he can deliver that basketball. But the biggest thing, gives you some experience out there. I like that. He's a high character guy.
Coach, you really stood out over the summer. You mentioned Isaiah, but is there anyone that's particularly stood out for you over the summer that, maybe impressed you? More impressive?
Well, young guys, everybody knows about the guys coming back. Jared, Tavion, new guys, and Cam Justice. Those are guys that, I don't know if stand out's the right word. I had high expectations for those players. Some of them been here, and Cam's an experienced player, and, Carson, we've seen him. So I don't know if they've done anything that, was different than I expected. Probably the one guy, if you got to say something about one player that's probably a little farther along we anticipated, we thought was really going to be good, and I think's a really good player, is Jordan Rawls. But again, he's a freshman. There's a learning curve for all freshmen, from physically and mentally, the toughness and the energy you have to play with. But he has a great feel. He can make a shot. He has really good basketball IQ. Those two things you can't teach.
I know they're two different positions, two different players. Would you take anything from how you sort of handled Charles, when he reclassified and came in, and then there's Jordan, who also sort of did the same thing?
Like you just said, they're totally different people. They're going to get thrown to the fire, both of them. I can tell you that. Both of them, one of them did, so the other one's going to too. He's going to learn by baptism. We have that much expectations for him. I think he's going to be that good. So from day one, he's going to get thrown in there. And we've got high expectations for him. And again, he's very similar to Charles. He's a high character guy. He's from a really good background, great parents, and he's been taught right from wrong. And again, I think the biggest thing with him, when he came in, maybe different than Charles. Charles didn't come in like a physicalness. Charles came in at 240 some odd. Jordan came in at 160 something. But since he's been here, he didn't get here until July. Is that right, Zach? He missed June. But he's put on 10 or 12 pounds, so it's made a difference in him.
Rick, at the start of last season, there were some kind of off-the-court distractions, issues with some players. You kind of, made it clear that that can't happen again.
There's some guys not back, aren't they? So, hey, that's the best way to do it. Yeah, Elliot, you got a question. You got to ask questions. Come to press conference now. Second Elliot, and we'll call you Elliot 1, Elliot 2. Elliot 2, you got a question.
So you guys struggled with shooting and passing the ball?
Man, we did, Elliot. You must have come some games last year.
Yeah, I did.
What grade you in? What year?
I'm a junior.
Junior, okay.
So how did you guys address that over the offseason and just going into practice?
Well, I think there's 3 perimeter guys that's been added to the roster. Who are those 3 guys?
3 transfers, right?
Cam Justice, transfer. Cooper, transfer. Rawls, what do you call him? High school guy. There's 3 perimeter guys that's been added to that roster that, no question, help in all 3 of those areas, those 2 areas, those 3 guys. 2 of them can really shoot it. I think all 3 of them got pretty good basketball IQ. So those 3 guys helped. And again, we had a young man member who got hurt last year, didn't play for us. Who was that? Shooter, who was that? Jeremiah. So Jeremiah's back. So there's another guy who, last year, lots of times were our best shooter. You all know, as you just said, we didn't shoot it consistently. Those nights Jared didn't make shots. It was a struggle. It was like a root canal some nights. But I really feel like we've addressed some of those problems. I think guys we have back wall will be better. And again, it don't take but a piece or 2 to spread that floor a little bit, get that ball to people at the right time more consistently, makes it all work better.
Rick, I know one guy you were high on last year who couldn't play was Carson Williams. What has he kind of shown you now that he's going to be able to play this season? What kind of role are you expecting him to fill?
Well, he's got one of the greatest abilities that you can't teach. Toughness. He's got that. He is a hard worker, tough young man. He's going to help us rebound that basketball. He's going to help us defending. Basically, he's worked ever since he's been here kind of on his weaknesses. That's in the perimeter. His weaknesses have gotten a lot better. Now, naturally, we'll play to his strengths. But he's going to add some toughness to a team. And that's an area, too, that, it won't hurt us having more of, too, for sure.
Is he kind of similar to, Justin Johnson in a similar game? I know Justin struggled shooting perimeter early in his career, but later on kind of figured it out.
Well, I don't know if they figure it out. They got to work on it and do it. Carson's very similar. Never got an opportunity to do it much. He just didn't get an opportunity, and I don't think Justin got much opportunity his first 2 years to shoot threes. Both of them similar. They worked on the off seasons. Justin's probably better on the post athletically, a little stronger, bigger body. Carson's probably quicker, more athletic. I'm not saying more athletic, as athletic, and that's a good statement. But again, brings a lot of toughness. Going to do a lot of dirty stuff. Again, when that ball goes up on that rim, he's going to stick his nose in there.
Coach, you get 7 players on your team from the state of Kentucky. What is that a priority in recruiting, or is that just happening?
Well, I guess it's a good thing it just happens. As I've said all along, we love to have a whole roster of Kentucky guys. We don't want them just because they're from Kentucky. If they can help us compete for championships, but if they're good enough and they're from the state of Kentucky and they can help us compete for championships, we want those guys. And I love guys from this state. They understand, a lot of those guys understand more of the tradition and the history of Western Kentucky. Local guys help too, from being able to get home, transportations, and people coming to see them play. All that's a plus.
Rick, in about 2 weeks, you get to host another pro day here. How, after the way things went last year, how great of an opportunity is this for this next?
No, it's a good thing. We allow a day for our players, and I thought it was good last year. Anytime if you can get 8 or 10 pro scouts there on your campus, that's a huge thing. So, I think it's a good thing. Kids nowadays, they want to be exposed to those kind of things, and you don't have to go to certain schools for that to happen. West Kentucky, you can come right here and get the same kind of exposures.
Looking at staff changes, you have Phil Cunningham back now, Marcus Grant. It's like the band's back together now, and kind of there's a lot of experience on that staff. Well,
those are just guys I've known for a long time in my life, whatever that is. Phil back from college playing days at Campbellsville, and I guess he was with me 13 years at Mississippi State. Marcus recruited him, played for us, and then coached on our staff for was it 8 years. So it was a lot of years, those two guys, so anytime you can have continuity like that in your staff and people that understand, and they're great people, number one, and they're great coaches, and Phil did a great job at Troy, and Marcus has just been a really good player and a quality person and a great coach all his career too. So very excited to have those guys a part of it.
Anything else for Coach?
Elliot gets one more question. Elliot, number 2.
So you have a lot of depth coming into this season.
Now, if I hadn't asked you to ask that question, what was you going to do with that question? You weren't going to ask it, were you? But go ahead.
All right, so you have a lot of depth coming into the season, obviously. So how are you going to bring in that depth? Like, not with the starting lineup, but just bring in the guys in rotation?
Well, again, there's no rotations have been set yet. I think you're probably asking, how many guys you anticipate playing. I think there's 9 or 10 guys that can play. I think there's one area for sure. If you'll look back in some stats, our second year, even though there's one guy coming back, how many points did we average that year? Anybody got that stat in their mind? Well, you should know that. A team averaged 79 points a game, or had 79 points a game. Offensively is really good. So my point is that margin of error wasn't quite as thin. Last year's team averaged how many points?
Not 79.
About 71 points. So there's about 8 points difference. Think about this. How many games were determined by 8 points or less we played in last year? Okay. There's a difference right there. And that comes from you got to score points. Defensively, I think we still didn't give up but 60-some points last year a game. But when you only score 71, there's a fine margin for error. The year before, I think we gave up 71 points, but we scored about 79. So it's a huge difference. And it comes back to some areas we talked about earlier: ability to shoot the basketball, ability to, kind of play make a little better. And that's one thing that team 2 years ago could really do: play make, and had enough shooters out there, and the ability to play make and spread that floor. So that's an area for sure. We're not going to score 71 points a game this year. I can tell you that for sure. That will be better. And if we can keep holding opponents to 69, then that margin for error, gets a little bit bigger then. And I got no question we'll be better in those areas for sure. That's a good question.